Hello and welcome to the section 2.6 and the class at LACCD. So we're going to go through some percentage problems. Some of these are going to be a little complex to explain, but I will do my best to try these. Some of the problems you're going to be looking at are going to be rather generic problems, and that applies to the first two that are going to appear in your homework. And for this, I often use what's called is over of equals the percent over 100. Now, you may see this taught differently in the book, and if you do and you can make sense of it, that's certainly fine. Go ahead and do that. But I'll explain to you how this works. So when you have two fractions that are set equal to each other, we form what's called a proportion. So in this case, we're going to kind of solve what these proportions are. Let's just take a look at what the question says here. The number 55.9% is what percent of 86? So notice here that 55.9, it's not a percent, and it's right next to the word is. So when we put this together, this is going to be 55.9, okay? And it said is what percent of 86? Of is right next to the number 86, so that's going to be 86. Okay, so we put that is, we put in 55.9 for is, we put in 86 for of. The percent's what we don't know, so we're going to put the percent as being x, and then we'll put that over 100. In order to solve a proportion, when we have two fractions set equal to each other, we do a process called cross multiplication. We're going to take the two things that are kind of kitty corner from each other and multiply them. So this would be 86 times x equals 55.9 times 100. So if you were to take and do this in your calculator, this is going to yield the calculation. I'll kind of do this off to the side here. This is going to be 86x equals 5,590. So if we're going to get the value of x rounded to the nearest whole number if necessary, I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 86. And if I do that, and I'll do this on my calculator here, if I take 5590 divided by 86, I'm going to get 65. So my final answer is going to be 65, and because it's a percent, it's going to be 65% for that question. Let's take a look at the second question using that same formula. Using the formula is over of. So it says, translate to an equation and solve. Let x be the unknown number. 16 is 50%. Now, notice that the is by both 16 and 50%. Well, in that case, we know 50 is a percent, so that's the percent that we're looking for here. So we have the 100. We know 50 is a percent, so we're going to put that there. And so 16 is going to be the is word. So that's going to be 16. Of what number? Of what number? That number is the x. So that's what we're being asked to solve here. So again, we're going to go ahead and cross multiply. And that's going to give us x times 50, or 50x is equal to 16 times 100. 16 times 100 is going to be 1600. And that's going to equal 50x. And if I divide both sides by 50, I'm going to get x is equal to 32. So that's going to be the value of x there. So when you get a generic question like that, is over of is the formula that you're going to want to use to help put that together. At least that's one of my recommended ways of doing it. Question 3. Now we're going to be getting to some context questions and dealing with percentages. A used automobile dealership recently reduced the price of a used compact car by 8%. If the price of the car before the discount was $18,200, find the discount and the new price. Okay? So if you want to know what 8% of the value of the car was, we would take 8% and multiply it by 18,200. However, the one thing we need to do first, and I'm going to do this over just kind of to the right here, is that if we have 8% as a percent, that's going to be equal to 0.08 as a decimal. So now if you have some difficulty or questions about how you convert from percentage to decimals, I recommend looking up other videos, look up other videos online. And here's what I'm going to suggest we do here. So if we want 8% of the original cost, we're going to take 18,200 and we're going to multiply that by 0.08. So we take 18,200 and multiply that by 0.08. That's going to give us a total of $1,456. So if 8% is the percentage of discount, $1,456, that's the total discount. Now, one thing to bear in mind, does the discount increase the cost of something or does the discount decrease the cost of something? Well, hopefully you know the discount decreases the cost of something. And if that's the case, then to figure out the new price, this would be 18,600 minus 1,456, and that new total is going to turn out to be $17,144. At least that's what my mental math tells me here. If you got something different, please let me know. But we get that by taking the original price and subtracting not the percentage of discount, but the amount of the discount based on taking the percentage of the original price. Now, if you want to try any of these questions before you see my explanation, you're certainly welcome to do so. Let's take a look at question 4 now. Our birthday celebration meal is $47.20, including tax, but not the tip. Find the total cost if a 15% tip is added to the cost of a meal. So we know first that a tip, that means we're going to be paying more money for this, but we want to tip 15% based on the original cost. So this is going to be 47.20 times not 15%, because remember, if we have 15% as a decimal, that's going to be 0.15. So it's going to be 47.20 times 0.15, and then 47. And this is why you have calculators to do this kind of stuff for yourself. If you multiply those together, you're going to find that the tip is going to be $7.08. Now, what you don't want to do is put $7.08 here, because your total of your meal did not suddenly go from $47 down to $7. You have to add this to the cost. So you're going to take $47.20 plus $7.08, and that's going to yield a total cost of $54.28. 47 plus 7 is 54, 20 plus 8, 28. So $54.28 is going to be the total cost of the meal. Okay. Now here's a little bit of a different way of looking at this question. It says, find the original price of a pair of shoes if the sale price is $36 after a 20% discount. Okay, so this is a little bit of a different way of looking at this question here. So if you want to find what this is, well, let's take a look at how we go about in doing a question like this. Actually, you know what? Let's come back and do that one a little bit here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go to a few other questions below here before we come back to that, because that one's a little different. Number 6, find last year's salary. If after a 5% pay raise, this year's salary is $35,700. Okay, so what they're telling you is they're not giving you the original price. Okay, in fact, these two questions are related, so let's just go ahead and tackle these. All right, so let's start bringing the percentage back again. So we know that a percent is a part over a total. Okay, so a percent is a part over a total, and that's going to be equal to the percentage over 100. Now in this case, let's just take a look at this. So if the person is paying it has a 20% discount, how much of the original price are they paying? The original price, if they have a 20% discount, they're still paying 80% of the original price, if that makes sense. So the original percent of price that they're paying is 80% because they get a 20% discount. So that's going to be like 100 minus 20% or 80%. So we're going to write this in the following way. So the part of the price they pay is the 80%. That's out of the 100 here. What's the part of the price they're paying is 36. The total price would be the original price in this case here. So I put that equation together. Let's see how we do this other one here. Okay, so part over total equals percent over 100. Find last year's salary if after a 5% pay raise, this year's salary is $35,700. So what happened in this case here is the person received an increase in pay. So that's going to be an increase above 100%. So they're not making like 80% of their salary from last year. They're making 5% higher than their original salary. So they're actually making 105% of the salary they're making last year. So to do this one, because a discount takes away what I pay, I would take 100 minus 20 to get 80. But in this one, I would take 100 plus 5% to get the 105%. What's my salary now? $35,700. This will be like what my original salary was. So now at this point, I'm going to put these two proportions together and see if I can solve these. So this is going to be 80 times x equals 36 times 100. So that'll be 80x equals $3,600. If I divide both sides by 80, okay, I'll do this on the side here. Then x is going to equal $45. So the original price of the shoes was $45. For the other problem, let's go ahead and take a look at this here. I'm going to have 105 times x is going to equal 35,700 times 100. Just kind of checking to make sure that everything is still showing up here, okay? And if I take that, that's going to be 105x is going to equal 3,570,000. Make sure I have that written right. Yes, I do. Okay. So now that I have this, if I take both sides and divide it by 105, doing this on my calculator here, 357,0000 divided by 105, I get the original salary being $34,000. So that's how to handle questions like that. Notice here what they're not giving is they're not giving the original price. They're not giving the like the original price of the shoes. They're not giving the original salary. They're giving the new one, and that's when you have to take this kind of approach to it. Again, this is my technique. If you have something in the book that you want to try that's a little different, you're certainly welcome to do so. But you're certainly welcome to try this technique as well. Okay. Let's go ahead. I'm going to jump to question 8 because it's done in a similar way to the previous questions. But 7 and 9 are a different question altogether and require a bit of a different technique. One I hope that you'll like from what I show you. A shop advertises as 27% off sale. If the coat originally sold for $256, find the decrease in price and the sale price. So again, this is pretty much like a traditional question we've done above. This is the original price, so we know what that is. So I'm going to take 256 and I'm going to multiply it by 0.27. Make sure that, again, this is showing okay. And okay, do that there. So 256 times 0.27. And that's going to be equal to 69.12. $69.12. So now if I want the sale price, I'm going to take 256 minus 69.112, and I'll do that on my calculator. And my new price is going to be $186.88. Okay, so that's that question there. I'm going to save 7 and 9. Oh, actually, no, that's it. So the last two questions I'm going to do are going to be 7 and 9. All right, so just kind of give you a little mini lesson on this here. What they're asking for in 7 and 9 is what we call a mixture problem. So when you're looking at questions 7 and 9, a mixture problem, and we'll probably get some more practice on this in class at some point, whether it's for the midterm or the final, but these are questions that you should be familiar with. So In both of these kind of questions, we're going to have some type of a mixture. And as we mix two things up and combine them together, it's going to yield a combination of two different things. So what I'm going to do for questions 7 and 9 is I'm going to create a space to put everything together here. And we're going to take a look at how this gets done. So it says here, a coffee company wants a new flavor of Cajun coffee. How many pounds worth of $10 a pound should be added to 30 pounds of coffee worth $3 a pound to get a mixture worth $6 a pound? Okay, so let's take a look at what each of these is going to look like when we do this. So let me see, I'm going to probably try to write this. Let me bring this back here in a moment, okay? So when we put this together, there are two things that have to go here. There has to be like a quantity, and then there has to be a price. So it's going to be price times a quantity. So let's bring that back here, okay? So we have a price times a quantity plus a price times a quantity. And this is going to be a price times a quantity. And we'll see how this all comes together. So a coffee company wants to sell a new flavor of Cajun coffee. How many pounds of coffee worth $10 a pound? Okay, so we'll call that the first coffee. We don't know the pounds, okay? And the pounds in this case is going to be the coffee, the quantity, but we do know its price. So it's $10 a pound. We don't know how much it is, so in that place we're going to put an X. Okay. Should be added to 30 pounds of coffee worth $3 a pound. So we know the poundage, we know the price. So the price of $3 a pound, the poundage is 30. And it says to get a mixture worth $6 a pound. Okay, so we know what the price is going to be, but the quantity, how much will the quantity be? Okay, so this is the part that's a little tricky. We know this first quantity is going to be 30. We know this quantity is going to be X. Suppose this were, let's say, 5. If this were 5 pounds and this were 30 pounds, the mixture would be 35 pounds, at least the quantity of the mixture. If this were 20 pounds, then this mixture of 20 pounds plus this mixture of 30 pounds would be 50 pounds, because I would add them together, and I would make it 20 plus 30. If this were 50 pounds, then the 50 pounds of coffee here plus the 30 pounds of coffee here would yield 50 plus 30, or give me 80. But we don't know the number. We know it's X. So we know that the quantity of coffee here plus the quantity of coffee here is going to be the total quantity of the coffee, which I'm going to write as X plus 30. So I can figure out the total quantity of coffee by taking these two numbers here, and I just add them together. And now we have an equation that we use to form this, okay? But keeping this idea, price and the quantity, price and the quantity, price and the quantity. It may look at it a few different ways, but in future questions, but that's how we're looking at it in this particular question. So here that's going to give us now, and I'll move this up a little bit now, 10x plus 3 times 30 is 90 equals, and let's go ahead and distribute here, 6x plus 180. And we have an equation now that we can solve, and we can find that value of x. So moving things around, we'll have 10x minus 6x equals 180 minus 90. 180 minus 90. Combining like terms, they give me 4x equals 90. And if I divide by 4, you're going to find that x is going to equal 22.5, or 22.5 pounds. And that's the amount of that first type of coffee that we need to add to make that coffee worth $6. And that's how we do the first question there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the second question. different type of mixture problem. So it says how much of an alloy that is 20 pounds, 20% copper should be mixed with 600 ounces of an alloy that is 70% copper in order to get an alloy that is 40% copper. Okay, so in the last problem we had a price times a quantity. Okay, so we're mixing two things together, and that's going to yield something else. So what we're going to do here is we don't know the quantity, but in this case we're not looking at this as a price, we're looking at a percentage. So we do have a quantity. We don't know what that quantity is, okay, but we do know the percentage. So for the first element, this is not going to be like a price of $2. The percentage is going to be 0.2. How much of an alloy? We don't know how much of it, but we're looking at a 20% concentration of it. So it would be 0.2 times how much? X. Should be mixed with 600 ounces of an alloy that is 70% copper. So here we know both the percentage and the amount. So this is going to be 0.7 times 600. Okay? And it says to get an alloy that is 40% copper. So in this one, this is going to be 0.4. That's a percent because that's what they're giving you. But we don't know how much of the alloy. So we do know we have 600 ounces of this alloy. We do know we have X number of ounces of this alloy, or of this material. So we have 600 ounces of this material. We have X amount of ounces of this material. So to do this again, we're going to add these two together to get X plus 600 to figure out what its total weight is going to be. So by simplifying things a little bit, this is going to be 0.2X plus. Now, if you take 0.7 times 600, that's going to be 420, and that's going to equal, if I distribute here, 0.4 x, 0.4 times 600, that's going to be equal to 240. Now, if I begin to shuffle things around, I'm going to move this to the left, I'm going to move this to the right. 0.2x minus 0.4x equals 240 minus 420. You may look at this here and say, well, gee, that gives me negative 0.2x. But over here, you're also going to get negative 180. And if I take both sides and I divide both sides by a negative 0.2, which again, please do in a calculator, you'll find that x is going to equal 900, which is going to be 900 ounces. So we will take some time to go over other questions like this in class, but I think it's probably helpful to see some of these examples and will certainly be helpful for the homework questions you have. Thank you.